Ukraine claims new war gains as Russia unleashes drones war in Ukraine explained. Ukraine officials declare victory over Russian forces, even though Kremlin soldiers continue to launch drone attacks. A report from the front lines of Ukraine's counteroffensive is an important and urgent update today on the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Recent developments have seen Ukraine claim to have gained new military gains, while Russia has sent a wave of drones into the region. This video will explain the war in Ukraine and how Ukraine has made recent advances. Let's look at the increasing use of drones that Russia is making. The campaign is now in its fourth week. Front lines are becoming more intense, but gains have been small. Ukrainian forces have liberated just 150 square kilometers in the south. This is only 60 square miles. The Deputy Defense Minister of Ukraine says that as Ukraine advances, Russia is increasing its attacks in the east. She said the enemy was trying to push our troops from their positions, but they were being rebuffed. Russian forces have advanced on several fronts in the Luhansk area. Despite the recent Wagner mercenary mutiny, Russia's military leadership continues to project strength in Moscow. In most cases, these plans failed because the military remained loyal to their oaths and responsibilities. The provocation had no impact on the actions taken by the groups of troops. The service members continued to do their jobs with courage and without self-interest. The Russian assault on Ukraine continues to hammer civilian infrastructure further away from the front lines. On Monday, Russian drones launched in the northeastern town of Sumy and hit 2 residential apartment buildings at a local administration building. This attack resulted in the deaths of 2 people and at least 19 injuries. The rescuers want to clean up the mess as quickly as possible, while Ukrainian forces say they will continue to move forward. To put the Ukrainian army's challenge in perspective, we heard today on national TV from the Ukrainian forces spokesman in eastern Ukraine that the Russians had deployed 180,000 soldiers along the eastern front. This is more than double the size of the British army. Bakhmut LX alone has 50,000 Russian soldiers, a considerable force. A brand new exclusive CNN interview featuring Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Aaron Burnett spoke with him at length about the Russian mutiny, the current state of war, and the prospects for peace. Listen to Zelensky discuss his recent discussions with the CIA head and how he ties a possible end to the conflict to Crimea's fate. Ukraine is only complete with Crimea. Crimea being under Russian occupation means only one thing: the war isn't over yet. In peace, it is important to be clear about victory. Can Crimea be excluded from Ukraine in any scenario? It's only possible to win if it's there. What did you say to him about your plans for a counteroffensive? Just because she's moving the ball on the infield. The message is that it is a razor-thin line. The Ukrainians are burning through huge amounts of ammunition and need additional support. It was never going to be a simple operation. It would take months to liberate the territory and deplete Russia's force like last year. The Russians will interpret that the US has come to their aid after they have achieved some territorial gains. How do the officials in Kyiv that you have spoken to over the last few days think about this counteroffensive? They are still cautiously optimistic. They are also frustrated. How quickly should this war happen? It's expected to be lightning fast. Just like the US military defeated Iraklis in Desert Storm. This war is not like that. It will always be a battle between these heavy formations and fortified positions for several months. It's frustrating that people falsely perceive how fast this will go. There is cautious optimism, however, that the Ukrainian military will achieve its operational goals by the fall. They'll be able to force Putin to the negotiating table and mobilize. This is very dangerous for him. With just a few more days until the NATO summit, Ukraine has set its sights on joining the alliance in the future. What do officials tell you about their immediate expectations for this summit regarding their commitment and timeline for joining NATO? The majority of the population supports NATO. A recent report showed that almost 90% of the people support NATO. The leadership is cautiously optimistic. Joining NATO will put an end to Putin's perpetual war and indefinite war. He believes the longer he waits, the longer he can delay the West. Ukraine can join NATO if they want to, but it's urgent. Ukraine recently announced its significant battlefield gains despite facing a formidable opponent. With international support, the Ukrainian military has launched successful offensives to retake several key cities and territories from separatists backed by Russia. Mariupol and Sloviansk were among the areas recaptured. These victories have improved Ukraine's morale and strengthened its position in the war. Recapturing these territories is of immense strategic significance for Ukraine. Mariupol is a major seaport city located on the Sea of Azov. It not only provides Ukraine with direct access to the ocean, but it also serves as an important economic hub. Russia effectively reduced its land connection between Crimea and eastern Ukraine's separatist regions by regaining control over Mariupol. This is a significant development that weakens Russia's position. Sloviansk, Avdiivka, and other locations in Donetsk are vital as well. This is because they are located near a stronghold for the separatists. By retaking these cities, Ukraine can cut off separatist supply lines and disrupt its regional operations. These victories also boosted Ukrainian morale and gave them more leverage during potential diplomatic negotiations. As Ukraine celebrates recent victories, Russia escalates its tactics, releasing many drones into the conflict zone. Drones are a powerful weapon in modern warfare. They provide real-time intelligence and surveillance capabilities, as well as offensive capabilities. The use of drones by Russia in the conflict has multiple purposes. They provide Russian forces with enhanced situational awareness and allow them to gather intelligence about Ukrainian troop movements, fortifications, and supply lines. Russian forces can use this information to adapt their strategy and effectively counter Ukrainian advances. Second, drones are also a direct weapon that can be used in conflict. Armed drones can carry out precision strikes against Ukrainian military positions and infrastructure. This allows Russia to project its power without the risk of direct ground troops. Russia's increased use of drones poses significant challenges to Ukraine. Ukrainian forces need to adapt and develop countermeasures that will neutralize or reduce the threat of this crewless aerial vehicle. The deployment of advanced air defense systems, electronic war capabilities, and the development of counter-drone technology are all part of this. Ukraine has also sought international assistance to combat the threat posed by drones. Ukraine can improve its defensive capabilities by collaborating with partners and allies with advanced anti-drone technology. What will happen next? What do you think the future of the conflict in Ukraine will be? Do you see any possible diplomatic or military scenarios? Nobody knows because you can expect anything from both sides during the war. So, stay with us as we regularly bring you authentic news from the battleground.